For decades, there has been a debate regarding the stigma around mental health for Christians. For centuries, people have considered mental health treatment and Christianity as two separate fields with no relationship between the two. So be sure to tune in to hear about the 5 myths about Christians seeking therapy, and then also to hear 10 ways to know that you may need to seek professional help. Stay tuned. Before we get into part 1 of this episode today, I want to let you know that for the month of May, for Mental Health Awareness Month, I'm giving away my workbook called Unashamed for free. That's right, you heard it. It is free. This book is amazing. I have received so much great feedback on it, and it really helped so many people to become unashamed of their past mistakes, unashamed of their mental health, unashamed of different areas of their lives. I have presented this workshop so many times in different areas and different sectors about becoming unashamed of your mental health. So be sure to go to the description box and download your free book. Hey, you guys, welcome back to the Faith and Mental Wellness Podcast. And so, to be honest, I did have 2 people scheduled to interview last week, but they had to cancel. One of them, their children became sick, and the other one had to reschedule for personal reasons. And so today I'm going to do an episode, as you can see, as you can hear, in the introduction about mental health. I'm going to do this in 2 parts today. So the first part, we're going to talk about 5 different myths, and then part 2, I'm going to go over 10 different signs that you may need to seek out counseling to help you with your mental health, okay? So please feel free to share it with a family member, a friend, a colleague, or anyone you believe will benefit from this information today. And so without that being said, let's get into myth number 1. So myth number 1 is mental illness or mental health challenges is a sign of weak faith. Oh my goodness. I truly believe it. I have seen, especially amongst Christian leaders, that admitting that you are struggling mentally is a sign of weak faith, and that is not true. I love to reference Ecclesiastes chapter 3, where it talks about there's a time for everything under the sun. And that is so true. We go through valleys, we go through different things in our lives. And I also have a book I have wrote called Seize the Season, where I am talking about the different things we go through in life as far as transition when you're walking with God. And even though you're walking with God, you will still experience, those highs and lows. If we're not intentional about seeking help, if we're not intentional even about seeking God and asking Him about areas in our lives where we need to have support, then we will not be able to truly see them. Myth number 2, prayer alone can cure mental illness or mental disorders. This is not true. Now, prayer is powerful. For those of you who follow me on social media or familiar with my ministry, I'm a prayer warrior. I love to pray. Okay. But that does not take away the fact that we still need to seek help when needed. With that being said, I want to give you a quick example. So this past week, actually, one of my friends who's a pastor, she reached out seeking wisdom about one of her church members. And so long story short, he went through deliverance, he went through healing, and the Lord had laid it on her heart and her husband's heart to kind of take him in and to really just nurture him and love him because he'd been through a lot in his life. Very young man. And so they did. And they had prayer. They had all these different things they was doing for him in the ministry, but he still had triggers. He would still lash out at times, and he will become very angry out of the blue. He also told her that he battled with OCD, actually religious OCD. Okay, so today I won't get into that, detail for detail. That's a long, that's a podcast all by itself. But what the Lord showed her was that, listen, he is battling mentally. He needs more support. He needs more help. And so I was explaining to her, hey, like, listen, of course God can heal him. God can do anything, But if we are not taking our time to truly understand our triggers and get the help that we need, how can God like truly meet you where you are? Faith without works is dead. Prayer is not a magic pill. Honestly, prayer is a gateway to open up your ears to hear God, to seek God and petition Him for your needs, of course. But it is a gateway for you to ask Him questions too, like, God, like, can you please show me areas in my life where I need support? I went through that myself. I had shared it a lot on my podcast, Pain, Passion, and Purpose. About the different things I've been through, my life journey. So check it out when you get a chance. Myth number 3, seeking therapy contradicts your trust in God. This is not true. Once again, this goes back to your faith, okay? So what I tell clients that I've had in the past is that whenever you seeking counsel or therapy, invite God into that. Inviting him in, show that God, I trust you with my process. I trust you, Lord, to lead me and to guide me into the areas where I need healing. And I myself have been a counselor before. I remember during the time whenever my husband was gone overseas, I was very overwhelmed. I had so much anxiety. I had 2 daughters. And so I went to counsel and said, God, please, when I go see this counselor today, can you pinpoint areas to her that I have not seen or I have blind spots in? And guess what? She sure did. She definitely helped me to uncover some things that I was not even aware of, because we are not always aware of ourselves 24/7, but those around us are. And if you invite God into it, he can show you or show those who are counseling you as well the areas in which you need help. Myth number 4, depression is always a result of sin or lack of faith. That is not true. Now, if you're looking at it from a generational lens, definitely if your mom had, depression, your father had depression, it's like generational. Of course, you can have that, but it does not mean that you have sinned or you have fallen short and that you're being punished. And so therefore you are depressed. Okay. So the Lord does not desire for you to stay in that state. You need to ask the Lord, God, what is the root of my depression? And the root of depression is different for everybody. So many different things that can cause you to feel depressed. You can have mild depression, moderate depression, and severe depression. And there's nothing wrong with seeking help for that. So you can really identify your thoughts, your behaviors, and your triggers to get to the root of your depression. It's the same thing for anxiety. You have to get to the root of it. Myth number 5, Christians shouldn't take medication for mental health. That is not true. And to be honest, before I became a therapist, I used to be the same exact way. I used to think that taking medication meant that you didn't have faith. Okay. I was in a church or an environment that did not support mental health. And so when God called me to go back to school to become a therapist, it was definitely a wake up call for me. I learned so much about the brain, the body, how the body responds. We are mind, body, and spirit. And yes, our body does respond to what's going on in the spirit, and vice versa. So they're all connected to one another. And so I tell people sometimes your brain can have a chemical imbalance, or you can have experienced so much trauma that it alters your brain. That's the thing, you guys. Research it. That is very real. I've seen clients who say, "Hey, Shakeeta, I don't want to take any medication, but do you recommend anything natural that I could take?" And so I have before, but the supplement that I actually recommend now is no longer available. So I'm sorry, I can't give it to you guys right now. But I do recommend taking supplements that also have magnesium in it. So do your research. I'm giving it out a disclaimer right now. Do not take my word. Seek your doctor. Okay. And so magnesium definitely helps with your mood. And so I encourage you to, seek out options. You want to go the natural route? That's okay. Also exercise. It is so, so good for your body and your mental health. You feel so much better. And so I definitely encourage you to just think about these top 5 myths. There are definitely other myths to consider, but I want to go over just these 5 and bring awareness to you. Okay. Hey, you guys, I am so excited. Okay. I have been so busy, But I had to announce that I had 3 different books that just came out, and they're all for Christian college students. So whether they are going to a secular school and they are Christians, or they're attending a Christian college, university, or community college, then I have some great information and great things for them. The first thing I have is a workbook to help Christian college students to overcome anxiety, not just plain anxiety, but the different types of anxiety. This is a workbook full of tools, assessments, and resources, okay, that will help them tremendously. I wish I had this kind of workbook whenever I was in college. Then I also have a prayer devotional for Christian college students. It is amazing. It is robust. It's a daily prayer, short prayer for them to really tackle the areas they may deal with as a Christian college student. And then I have a journal called Cast Your Cares on Christ or on Jesus. Okay. It's a journal that Christian college students can use to just write how they're feeling. It has journal prompts in it. It has different things that you need to know about journaling and how to incorporate that into your life. So be sure to go to the description box to look at those books. I pray that it will help you. Please share with those you think may need this. And again, thank you so much for being here and being a part of the Faith and Mental Wellness podcast community. Welcome back, you guys. So in part 2, we're going to discuss 10 signs that lets you know that it's time to go see a professional. And as always, make sure you visit www.faithandmentalwellnessdirectory.faith to locate a provider in your area. So number 1 here is having constant feelings of sadness or hopelessness. So if you see that this is happening for you over a course of time and it's not getting better, maybe it's time for you to seek out professional help. Number 2, intense anxiety or fear. You could be having constant worry, panic attacks, or irrational fears that interfere with your daily life, which may indicate an anxiety disorder or even a mood disorder. Number 3, changes in your sleep patterns. So if you are starting to have insomnia or you can't seem to wake up in the morning, oversleeping, things like that can also lead to signs of depression or anxiety. Number 4, difficulty with coping with stress. If you find it hard to manage everyday stressors and it impacts your work, your school, or friendships, then it's time for you to seek help or support. Number 5, social withdrawal. If you are beginning to withdraw from your friends and your family and you no longer enjoy the things you used to enjoy doing, then maybe it's a sign that you may be battling with depression or anxiety as well. And it can be mild symptoms, moderate, or severe. Number 6, unhealthy coping skills. If you're engaging in destructive behaviors like alcohol abuse, substance abuse, self-harm, or reckless behavior, this may be a sign that you are having some emotional pain and you need release. You need to be able to go talk to someone who can truly help you. And with that being said, on my website, www.empowerpurposeacademy.com, we also have a quiz about anxiety to test your anxiety level. So be sure to go check that out. And I put the link for you as well in the description. Number 7, changes in appetite or weight. If you are dealing with, not wanting to eat or eating too much, or, you may have a mood disorder like depression or anxiety. Okay. And also, this could be too, if you're on medication, please keep it in mind. That too can change your appetite too. The next one is number 8. You might have a hard time focusing or making decisions. And so concentration and anxiety can kind of go hand in hand for sure. If you are overwhelmed mentally, you may have a hard time focusing on tasks and getting things done. Also, you might have ADHD symptoms as well. So this is why it's important to go see a professional professional, so that way they can give you assessments and they can see where you are. We have so many different things we could do. We can give ADHD assessment, anxiety assessments, depression, and we're trained to be able to help you to navigate that assessment to see what the true issue could be. Also, see psychiatrists if you need medication. And also, you can get medication from your medical provider as well for smaller cases of anxiety or depression. Number 9, physical symptoms without medical explanation. So you might have headaches, stomach aches, butterflies in your stomach, sweating, different things in your body may be different. And that could also stem from anxiety and depression. Okay. And then number 10 for sure is if you having thoughts of suicide, if you have engaged in self-harming behaviors, or if you have this thought of saying, maybe I shouldn't live anymore, maybe my life is not important anymore, you start to have those thoughts frequently, then yes, it is time for you to go see a medical professional that can help you with this. And so again, my hope is that this episode has really helped you to really navigate this area when it comes to mental health within the church. And the stigma is still there. It's still there, you guys. And, I'm doing the best I can along with so many other professionals out here to really educate people about mental health. I also wanted to add that if you or a loved one are experiencing a crisis and are having thoughts of suicide, you can visit 988lifeline.org. You can also text them as well for support services. They are available 24/7, 7 days a week. Now, there are so many different sites you can visit that will provide you support for free in times of crisis. So be sure to remember to take care of yourself, engage in self-care. And as always, you can visit www.faithandmentalwellnessdirectory.faith to learn more about providers in your area. Our directory is continuing to grow. So if you know anyone who would be a great fit, please feel free to forward this site to them. Thank you again for being a part of the Faith and Mental Wellness podcast community. Don't forget to visit www.faithandmentalwellness.faith to learn more about our directory, our virtual meetups that we have bi-monthly for healthcare professionals, and to also learn more about our trainings and other resources. Thank you again for being here, and we'll talk to you guys next time.